Story 1. You should always have something to look forward to. A holiday, a nice meal, seeing a pet, catching up with a friend, or a solid night of sleep. Appreciate the thing and then find the next one. Story 2. It is important to appreciate the very small things in life, and I enjoy my morning with no other people around. For example, just cuddling with my dog and cats while listening to music and drinking a good cup of coffee can be savored. It is much easier to do that when you do not have to rush off to work and cognitively and socially multitask all day long. Story 3. 62 million. None of this matters. Possessions, heirlooms, or jewelry. None of it matters. Only loving relationships matter, and pizza. Pizza matters. In 15 years, I will be gone, my possessions dispersed or trashed. All they will remember is a few treasured pictures or a small treasured item that can travel easily through time. Secondly, being a mean person will poison your soul. Health is fragile, easy to lose, hard to regain. Story 4. That a big part of life is just fighting the desire for instant gratification from things like drugs, food, and sex. You have to develop healthy coping mechanisms because none of us have enough of them, and we use unhealthy behaviors to fill the gaps. Story 5. Be yourself. All the people I bent over backwards for in life disappeared into oblivion after a short time anyway. The ones that I don't have to change for have remained. Story 6. I've started to realize how valuable time is. Things I used to put off until someday now seem much more important, and I'm learning to prioritize what genuinely matters. Story 7. Your brain and body aren't wired for constant happiness. They are designed to seek balance or homeostasis. The sooner you embrace the idea that contentment, rather than fleeting giddy happiness, is the real goal, the easier life becomes. Shift the question from, what will make me happy, to what brings me balance and steadiness, and you will find a more sustainable path to peace. Story 8. Love is not enough. Love will not guarantee ending up with the person you love. But what is important is loving them in the first place. Ending up with them matters less than that. If you truly love someone, you will want what is best for them, and that with which they are happiest, even if their happiness does not reside with you. Of course, you will always try your best to be their happiness, to want to be the best for them. But sometimes trying our best may not be enough, and that is okay. Over time, the bad moments fade away, forgiveness develops, and a sweet and soft feeling remains for the person you loved. This feeling you carry for the remainder of your life. No regrets, no remorse, just a healthy amount of hope that wherever they are, they may be living the best life possible for them. Also, the most important things in life are humility, gratitude, and health. Everything else can be developed with these. Story 9. The most valuable thing anyone can give you is time. If someone is trying to teach you something, tell you something, or talk you out of a decision you're trying to make, you should probably try to fight that urge that you know better and actually listen. There's a huge difference between thinking you know better and actually knowing. So much advice I was given freely that I refused to take would have saved me a lot of heartache or headache in my youth. Now I see I was so wrong. Story 10. It is counterintuitive, but time can speed up when you become efficient, accustomed to things, and are able to smooth out the bumps. When things are too easy and convenient, days fly by and resemble one another. It is the challenges, novel tasks, and trial and error that can slow time down and make you pay attention to every second. The trick is to free up time with efficiency, but you have to fill the space with something new. Do not get complacent or else you miss life. Story 11. Small actions, and especially inactions, do compound whether you like it or not. So always try to at least do anything, no matter how insignificant, to get you where you want to be. Story 12. Stress really is a killer. Like, legitimately. I never took that statement seriously when I was younger, but as I get older and find myself dealing with more and more stress, I'm starting to identify how many adverse health side effects I'm experiencing as a result. Story 13. I've learned that life is all about the people you love and that love you, and if you have your health, you have everything. Oh, and take good care of your teeth. Story 14. 3 things. Thoughts are not facts. This realization almost certainly saved my life. People are, through necessity, only interested in themselves. This can be a positive learning experience. You never get to walk off into the sunset in this life. Endings never happen how you want or expect. Story 15. Everything is made up. People are weird. Everyone responds to life decisions based on their own coping mechanisms and trauma. Do whatever you want in life. Just don't be mean. Practice kindness and generosity, thoughtful behavior. And tell people you love that you love them every single day. Don't take being alive for granted. Story 16. How I was the fittest, strongest version of myself in the exact same moment I was complaining about not being fit or strong enough. You can always become less physically capable if you don't put the work in. Don't take your body's youthful energy and capacity to do things for granted. Story 17. I'm still very young, 17, but I've recently made the discovery that nobody knows what they are doing. Everyone is pretending they know what's up, when in reality they don't have the slightest clue. Story 18. How little time we actually have. Especially now, modern society runs at a tremendous pace. If you do not actually make time for yourself, your loved ones, and actively attempt to slow down, you will look back and wonder where the time went. Story 19. The game of life is long. Just because you were winning early does not mean you will be winning later. And just because you were losing early does not mean you will be losing later. Story 20. Karma is not real, and some people will just never be sorry for what they did to you. Bad people will do bad things and often not suffer for it. I have learned not to hold my breath when waiting for someone to feel guilt about their own actions. Story 21. The larger world has always been and will always be a mess. There's nothing you can do about that except be as good a human as you can be in your own smaller world. Story 22. Things don't matter nearly as much as experiences. I really should have started saving money earlier. I don't need to care what other people think. Story 23. That everything you do is a choice, from what you eat and drink to activities and work. Bad choices are easy to avoid if you take a deep breath and really think about what you are about to do for a second. Talk some sense to yourself. Also, a genuine laugh is hard to come by, so I realize how happy it makes me to make someone else smile or laugh. And little things matter. A simple thank you can mean the world to someone. We are all just trying to live and provide for ourselves and our families. Everyone is going through something. Story 24. So glad you asked this. The older I get, the less I care about what other people think about what I say or do or what I wear. I was brought up by a critical and judgmental mother, so it's really freeing to seriously not care. Story 25. I used to think everyone has that common sense and a certain level of intelligence. The older I get, the more I realize how wrong I have been all these years. Story 26. We are all way too nice to high-pressure salespeople, and that is a big part of why they are still so common even though consumers hate it. The older I get, the less I am willing to tolerate it. Story 27. That it's okay to say no without the need for constant apologies. No, I don't want to come to your social event. No, I didn't reply to your email, and yes, I did see it. No, I don't want to hear the same story about your darling Veronica stealing the school nativity play despite only being 6 years old. I have approximately 0 degrees of concern to give about any of them, and that's okay. Story 28. There are many things in life I could care less about. Spend more time and energy on things that really matter, like things that make you happy, people you love, and people who love you. Don't worry about messing up a few times. Story 29. The general population is not as smart as you think. People who are good at mathematics and can memorize books just assume everyone else can to some extent. If the average IQ is 100, that means 50% of the people you meet have an IQ in the 90s or lower. Once you get down to high 80s, simple tasks become somewhat challenging. Think of a new hire at work who simply cannot grasp the cash register. Money cannot buy happiness. People are either jolly or they're not. But for happy poor people, money can in fact buy happiness, at least in the short term. Jolly poor people are a small population. Friends are very important, specifically the long-term ones. When people start dating seriously in their 20s, they often lose friends, thinking the relationship is more important. I have friends now who know my exes from 27 years ago, and they also know my wife. The friends outlasted about 7x's. Start lifting and running by 40. It's almost impossible to reach a certain level if you start training at 55, for example. Too many aches and pains, and the shock to your body being sore is not pleasant. It's easier to stay in shape than to get in shape. The love for a child knows no bounds. It's almost crippling, so it's not always a good thing. If your kid murders a few people, you will still visit them in prison, mark my words. Story 30. It's fine to let people leave your life, good and bad. Everyone is on their own journey, and they come and go. Don't cling to relationships to try to force them to stay. Story 31. Kids, start taking care of your body early. You don't have to be superwomen, but make time for yourselves to exercise, play sports, or whatever gets you moving. You'll thank me in your 50s. Story 32. Biggest thing I realized just this last Christmas as I was watching the kids play with their stuff was how easy it actually is to be ignorant of current trends in technology. Younger people do not realize every day how much things have changed in the last 40 years. It's all new territory and scary unknowns. Then I realized it was like that for my parents also, still is kind of, and you get it? Story 33. Finances and having financial literacy are key. Nothing in life happens without money. Having a savings or emergency fund along with investments is crucial. Story 34. That the pressure we put on ourselves is absurd. The pressure to balance a healthy lifestyle, friends, family, a romantic relationship, excelling in school and or at work. That all this pressure just ruins the actual experiences. Slowly but surely learning to say forget the pressure, to take things day by day, and to exude gratitude whenever I can. Story 35. All of those catastrophes, breakups, job loss, falling out with friends, embarrassing incidents just stop mattering. Not all at once in a single day, but over time. Breakup in my youth? Look that boy up on Facebook. Dodged a huge problem there. Fired from my first job? Who's laughing now? Caro's restaurant. Lose friends? I found better ones, and they did too. I can't even remember embarrassing incidents past, say, 3 years ago. Wounds heal and life goes on. Story 36. Nothing is black and white. There are details you will never know. Hard and fast opinions are pointless given different circumstances. Do not be quick to judge, or do not judge at all. Acknowledge and adapt. Story 37. In the end, after you are gone, the only thing people will have is your memory, and if you are lucky, someone will display a picture of you somewhere in their home. Make the memories good ones. Story 38. The older I get, the less I care what other people think of anything. Life is about finding a balance between happiness and reality. Once achieved, life becomes more simple. Story 39. That I have everything I need. In the past couple of years, I have found myself growing immensely grateful for what I do have, and focusing less on what I wish I could have. Story 40. I've learned to give fewer concerns. Leave the house with no makeup? Sure. Have to head out with wet hair after the shower? Fine. I have no time to blow dry anyway. Friend behaving poorly? Call that behavior out. I'm only thorough in 2 places. At work and in bed. The rest of the time I'm operating at 80%. It's good enough, and I have no more concerns to give. Story 41. Meeting someone you can share your life with is really important. In a stressful life, our time with friends and family seems to fade. Loneliness can consume you. Story 42. Just because someone is smart does not make them wise, and vice versa. I see so many people take knowledge as wisdom, but you don't get wisdom until you apply it, and you can't apply it without understanding. Story 43. That common sense isn't common. Don't depend on people too much. Focus on your physical and mental health. You do not have to accept any kind of abuse from people because they are your family. Not everyone is your friend. Story 44. That no one really cares what you do. Want to wear the red dress with white shoes that you think people might find weird? Do it. People are so wrapped up in what's going on in their world, they don't usually care about every detail of someone else's. Story 45. That life is too short to worry about what others think of you. I've come to realize that you have to choose your battles, and as long as you're happy and at peace with your life and your decisions, then that's what matters. Story 46. As a woman, the older I get, the more I realize that I do not need to prove my value based on my looks. Even though I am aging and my body is not the same after having kids, I am getting more and more confident every year. Story 47. I would much rather have an early night and get some good sleep than wake up earlier to a nice breakfast than go out clubbing and drag myself out of bed at 1 in the afternoon. Story 48. Advertising has us chasing cars, working jobs we hate to buy things we don't need, making us believe we would be rock stars, celebrities, actors, but we won't. And we're slowly learning that fact, and we are very, very upset. Story 49. Humans are still just animals with no more or less free will than other animals. The idea that we are somehow apart from nature, that we are special, and that all creation was made for us is what could very well lead to our ultimate destruction. Story 50. The years go by much more quickly the older you get. Routines and ruts, along with boredom, make it happen. Always try new things and find new places to explore. Story 51. I need to be more physically active because sitting around only leads to all kinds of problems. Exercise helps so very much physically and mentally, so do not skip it. Even if we are limited, do something. Story 52. When you are 20, you think everyone is worried about your life. At 40, you stop caring what they think of your life. At 60, you realize no one cared the whole time. Take off the Churchill quote.